I started my business with the intention that I wanted to survive in this world. I think that's the most important intention, most noble intention for survival, right? You're put on this earth for a reason, and one of the biggest reasons that you have is to maintain your life, to sustain, and to carry on going through with your life.
Salam Huda, how are you? Welcome to the Muslimah Entrepreneur Podcast. I'm so excited to have you on. Thank you for coming.
Thank you so much, Fatima, for having me here. Alhamdulillah, I'm doing great. It's so nice to have conversation with Muslim women entrepreneurs. So it's so exciting to be here. Thank you for having me.
You are mostly welcome. So we met, it's going to be, I think, almost a year ago.
Yes.
So I'm, it's been a long time coming, and I really wanted to have you on the Muslim Entrepreneur Podcast because you are an experienced entrepreneur, and you're going to tell us more about you, but you're on the other side of the world from me in Singapore. So I think this is the right time to let people know who you are and what you do.
Great. Thank you so much, Fatima. Right. So I think to start off this whole journey, it's simple to say that I didn't have it easy all the time when I was starting my entrepreneurial journey. Growing up, my family has always inculcated the importance of understanding what it's like to be an entrepreneur. So I've been brought up in a business family, which I also believe is one of the things that makes us Muslims, because Rasulullah and Sayyidatina Khadija is also, they are merchants in some way or another, right? They have been in business before. So we're just walking in the footsteps of, the people that we look up to in this religion. All right. That being said, growing up, it was exciting. It was filled with a lot of lessons about what it takes to be an entrepreneur. And one of the biggest lessons that I've learned growing up was that to be an entrepreneur, we need to be compassionate human beings first. And that's one of the things that I've carried all the way throughout my journey as an entrepreneur. When I started my own business, it's always been that. On top of all of those things, I went through a series of unfortunate events, as I would like to call it, because there were a lot of things that took place in my life that brought me to a position where I just wanted to give up. I really wanted to give up. If you want to talk about moments where my Akidah was shaken, where I really wanted to let go and forget about this presence on earth, it has happened before. If you talk about losing a loved one, it has happened to me before as well. And then if you talk about, not being able to have a roof above your head, not knowing when's the next time you're going to have your next meal, I've been there. So going through all of those rough spots have taught me that if only the things that goes through in your life, it's there for a reason. And when we go through all those challenges in our lives, it shapes us to be a stronger version of who we are meant to be. My name is Nurul Huda, all right? So in Arabic, it means the light of right guidance. I've always held strong to my name from a very young age. So I think around 8 years old, there was like a booth somewhere in Singapore where they started printing out names, and then it fills out with the ambition of this child, the potential that this child will bring. My parents would purchase it, and then they frame it up and place it on our walls. So whenever I look at that, I felt that really is my potential, and I really felt true in terms of its alignment. I knew from a very young age that I wanted to teach, and I knew at a very young age that I wanted to be a business woman. I wanted to be like my father, basically. I wanted to be someone who can lead, but at the same time provide. So, that's not achievable if you are in a full-time position, because if you are a leader in a full-time position, you can only lead, but you can't provide. But if you're an owner of your business, you can lead and you can provide. Provide for who? Your employees, the people that matters in your business, like your business partners, your associates. So you still have the opportunity to provide. And brilliantly enough, I would say that this whole concept of social entrepreneurship is new in today's day and age, but it is an age-old method of running commerce where you earn some profits, but you always give it back to society in one way or another. And that's why I have been taught in Islam for so many years, right? For thousands of years, in fact. So that's exactly how I started my business as well. I started my business with the intention that I wanted to survive in this world. I think that's the most important intention, most noble intention for, survival, right? You're put on this earth for a reason. And one of the biggest reasons that you have is to maintain your life, to sustain, and to carry on going through with your life. Right. So that's one of the challenges that I went through. No food on the table, not being able to know what's next for me, not able to find a job. It was such a difficult time for me at that time. So when I started my business, the first business that I built, it was, well, I would say that I actually went through a couple of businesses before that, but this is my first official business. So I started Blissful Studios, which is my video production company today. And at that time, it was so challenging to a point where I would take any jobs that I can in order for me to survive. As long as I don't need to beg, borrow, or steal, I don't cause harm. That's one of the criteria that I carried on in the way that we led our business. Okay, so the first challenge that I faced in running that business was the inability for me to find jobs or gigs at that time. It's very challenging when you're starting a business, you're starting out, nobody wants to trust you, you have no proven track record. So I managed to find, together with my business partners, we managed to get our first gig, which was a photo booth service at a bar. Okay, so it's a photo booth service at a bar. So here I was, a hijabi, carrying a camera, and then I was asking myself, okay, so is this okay or is this not? Right before the gig began, we did some technical run and do all those dry run and things like that. And then I called up my stars and I asked him, is this okay? Like, can I go in there? Can I do the work? And he said to me, what is the purpose of you doing this? Then I said, it's for me to find an honest living, for me to get started in my life. Then he said, are you going to drink? No, I'm not. Okay, so you're not going to drink. Are you going to mingle around with all these people, who are there, and, you're going to be like them, you're going to dance around and things like that? No. So then there's nothing wrong with it, right? You're finding a halal means of income. So you shouldn't be ashamed about it. You should get started. Just get started somewhere because you need to survive. And at that stage, right, he reminded me that there is a difference between fighting for your values and then not being able to eat for the next day. And then, of course, at the same time, finding a way to survive and then find something, you have the source of income there, right? You find a means to survive. And then from there, you can carry on your life. So because you can carry on your life and do the next stages of things in your life, you will then be able to do even better things. Because at that time, that first gig, if you want to talk about being hungry, I was very hungry. Okay, I was very, very hungry. It's really the first gig. I was hungry. It was moments where I would only have one meal a day. Yeah, so those are the kind of circumstances that I would actually go through. One meal a day, which is very, very normal. And then, to cover the cost and the expenses of frequenting to the venue of the event, bringing in the items over, those are costs involved as well. So I had to prioritize that, which means I had to tie my stomach and, sacrifice my hunger in order for this to work. And when the end of that gig was done, that was my first $800 into the business. And with that $800, I didn't even take everything for myself. We went on to go on to the next project, to the next project, to the next project. I took what was enough for me to survive, just enough, and we carried on. And from that business, we started as a photo booth company. We ended up today as a live streaming service company, serving Fortune 500 companies like Tata Communications, Hitachi Asia, Prudential. So these are all the big clients that we are still serving till today. So if it's not for that moment of, I would say, desperation in one way or another, and moment where we just really let go and let God take over to here today where we are, this is a full journey that takes, takes us where we are today. And in between that journey, what happened was that in 2017, I had this sudden realization that I've always wanted to be a teacher. I've had this realization, and I just, it felt so strong, that feeling, that mission, that desire was so strong in my heart that I had to search for it. I had to find it. So then I sat down there was this beach in Indonesia close by to Singapore. It's called Bintan. So I took a trip there with my husband's friend's wife, my girlfriend, simple to say. My girlfriend, yes. We went over there. We had like a 3-day retreat. And that was when my mind was really at ease. And I started coming up with the business plan for Fempreneur Secrets. And through the business plan itself, when we came up with it, the most important thing that I wanted to do was to remind women that, number one, we can take control of our lives no matter how dire the circumstance is. Our future is in our hands, and it is in our hands for a reason, because we are put on this earth to serve good. We are put on this earth for a purpose. And that is our mission, our God-sent mission. It is not easy to identify it. Some people discover this later on in their life, when they are in their 40s, when they are in their 50s, or maybe even to the brink of death. But if we get it early, if we can find it even earlier in our life, that's a blessing. Yeah, so that was what I went through. I was able to discover the mission that I wanted to serve was women. I wanted to give women the opportunity for them to take charge of their life, take control through business. And not only that, as I deep dive into this whole industry, I realized there were a lot of women in the world that were suffering financially because of some limitations in the economy. And some of those limitations were actually in the construct of a marriage. So some cities or some economies, some countries prohibit women from owning a bank account, or without a male heir to actually open up the bank account for them. But they can still run a business, no issue whatsoever. But the business owner needs to be a male, needs to be registered under a man's name. So we see this in a lot of the parts of Asia. Okay, so that's one of the concerns that I had. The second issue that came about was that even if a woman can register the business under their own name, sometimes, actually a lot of the times, it is registered because the husband or a male family member tells them to do it, not because they want to run the business on their own. And then to make matters even worse, there were also some scenarios where family businesses were passed down from generation to generation. And then in fact, there was actually a story that I did on my podcast as well. I interviewed a lady. She was in a family business. The business was passed down from generation to generation. Her father's business was passed down to her husband. And then her husband cheated on her. And then that business ended up in the hands of her husband, not her family, not her bloodline, the rightful heir of the company. So she had to start from scratch to own back a business, a piece of a business that was hers, that she grew up with. And then she's now in direct competition with her ex-husband's business. So these are the very common things that we see in the women's entrepreneurship world. And that's the very reason why I set on this strong mission to see business-savvy women exist globally. Because we need to have the business skills. It is not costly to learn about business. You don't have to go for an MBA program to know how to run a business. Yes, you definitely don't need it. I think, yeah.
I did a business school. I did a business school, and it didn't help me for owning a business.
Yes, because those are theory, right? Those are theory. And when we come to running a business, it's about the application of all of these things. Mm-hmm. And in order for us to do that, we need to know how to take the first steps. It's not taught in MBA schools how to overcome your fear. No. It is not taught in MBA school about how to market to your masses, but do it in an ethical manner. Do it in an Islamic manner. It is not taught in MBAs. No. In fact, a lot of the marketing gurus out there will share with you things that are, I would say, un-Islamic. I would say they're really un-Islamic. Like, for example, I will give you one simple marketing example. the deadlines, deadline, how do you put it? Deadline for sales. So, you say, okay, if you purchase it within the next 4 hours, this is what you're going to get. Or when the timer runs out, this is the offer that you are going to get. And then at the end of it, the offer is done, right? So it's over. This kind of deadline funnels, right, is adding unnecessary pressure to your consumers. And when you add unnecessary pressure to your consumers, you're not doing them good. You're making them make what is called impulse purchases, purchases that they actually don't need. And when we do impulse purchases, or we encourage impulse purchases in this world, what happens is that you are stressing your community, your ummah, from them earning their maybe $3,000 income in a month. And because of those impulse desires or impulse purchases, it taps on their nerves to need it, to want it, to read, okay, this is what I really want at this moment. And to make matters worse, some marketers impose in like so-called 100% guarantee or money back guarantee and things like that. But when it comes to them actually requesting for a refund, they had to put in the work. So if they make purchase on impulse, how are they going to put in the work before they purchase, request for a refund? They didn't even know they needed it in the first place. So it's unjust to ask them to refund back and to get their money back in that manner. So that's one of the things that is really, really, I find that very un-Islamic in this. So even in my programs, what I do is that I will outrightly tell my coaching clients who are on the discovery calls with me, I will tell them, I'll give you 48 hours to think, really think. I don't do sales on the call itself unless they're really, really certain that they want it. So on the calls, I'll tell them, is this really what you want to do? If this is really what you want to do, then pay a deposit. I wouldn't even ask for the full amount because I need them to think thoroughly before this. And that's how we will be very good, like Islamic entrepreneurs. We need to think about the perspective on their end as well, because they also have responsibilities. They also have things that they need to do. So that 48 hours period that I give them, it is when they would sit down, they need to think, maybe have a conversation with their other half, have a conversation with their parents, children, see if they can move money around. You give them the time and space for them to do that. And when you do that, inshallah, it will be more barakah. This is one of the things that I've changed in my business. And I can tell you the barakah is so much more. When you refuse them to make payment immediately, that's one of the things that's actually going to help, because you're going to give them time to think. I mean, at the end of the day, right, when we think about it, like we have to always remember that there is enough for us. There's always enough for us. This is already decreed upon in one way or another. There's more than enough for everyone, and there's more than enough for us. So we don't have to be worried about whether or not there's going to be income coming in or not. And income is monetary value. There could be other source of sustenance that can happen in our lives. Like, like maybe you have really good neighbors who always comes and give food to you. That's also sustenance. You have, other income that comes in on other side of the world, like affiliate marketing, for example. You've been talking about some other products, like I'm a Kajabi affiliate, and I talk about it a lot in my community. So when I get the income from there, I'll just park it there. So that's like my reserve bank in case anything happens. I have some income there. Yeah. So it's about building this strategy and also having this mental capacity to run a business, but do it ethically and sustainably. So this is one of the things that I think above anything else, I wanted to share across.
Yeah.
I think Fatima, it's kind of interesting. Like before we hit record, I told you I have a system.
Yeah.
But somehow or other, like when I said Bismillah, like this is what comes out. So I think this is decree. This is what you guys are supposed to hear.
Exactly. And this is the beauty of I think not being organized and not planning. I know that some of my interviewee like to have the questions before and all of that, but I like just to be in the flow, in the moment, in the present, right? And I think this is where the magic happens, because it's more organic. It's like, as you said, it's like almost divine, But I just wanted to recap, what you said, because you impact a lot for us here. you started by, sharing your challenging, journey. And I think, everybody has a challenging story. Nobody has it easy. We all have different problems, but we have problems. So even if you see on Instagram, like the Instagram life online, the beach and the great clothes and all of that, it's a struggle to go through a business. And some people share it and some people don't. And I'm definitely part of sharing the authentic journey, because I don't want to misguide people, or even just, I don't do them service, right? If I just share only the good and the positive things about my life, about my journey, because this is the reality. And you did a great job by sharing yours. And you said, some of the strategies that enabled you to go through that is just going back, to your faith, letting go of the outcome and surrendering, to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And I love what you said at the end. There is enough for everybody. And I am going back in my mindset, in the abundance mindset, in the Islamic abundance mindset. And it's so subhanallah, it's so true. I've been also in business, for like 3 years, but my coaching business, I decided to focus on this year. But last year, subhanallah, I've never been like in the minus, I've always, like survived, but I always had like things coming in just for me to be in like surviving enough and just doing, like my job and my work and giving back. So when you look back, you see like, oh yes, it's true. Like, I have some guidance, I have barakah in my life, and I have enough to move on, and everything else is extra, that you can, as you said, give back to the community, whether it's your own family or your, like your ummah in general, your society. There is something important that you said. What's the intention? And I think, behind what you do, this is so important, because this will elevate so much burden out of you if you know what's your intention behind it. And if it's a pure intention, everybody goes through challenges. And I always share, the 5 stages of emotional change, like the cycle of change. So you're going to have high and lows. This is part of it. Embrace it. Yes, it's going to suck. You can scream, you can cry, just let it go. But there is an end there is a light at the end of the tunnel. So just thinking about that really like give me peace of mind, truly, and help me, build resilience. And as you said, we are here for a purpose. So living your purpose, there is nothing as magical as that, I think, as a human being, because it really fills you up, and it enables you also to build resilience and go through all these challenges and celebrate the wins and all of that. So this is perfect. Yay. So yeah, you shared a lot. Oh my gosh, this is crazy. So now let's dive into the strategies, because you just started to mention that. And you said you had a methodology for us to follow, because I wanted this season 2 to be more strategic for people, get something out of it. Yes, there is the mindset part, there is the resilience part as a woman entrepreneur, and we are competent. We have nothing to envy to like men or other people if we're a woman of color. We have the same brain, and we are definitely, more resilient because we went through many challenges. And as you said, it shaped us as we are. So now let's go to the like technical, let's go to the strategies of like business, management. Share with us, like your top methodology or like the top skills that really helped you, like take your business to the next level.
Sure. I wrote this book, The Art of Firing Your Boss. It's an ebook to help you to turn your side gig into a full-time business. So I will leave the link later on, and you can just share this with your audience, the amazing audience who are listening in. But I'll share with you in a glimpse of what the 6 steps you need to take in order for you to launch a profitable and purpose-driven business. Right. So it all starts with M's. Okay. So there are 6 M's that you can go through. So first M that you have to go through would be your mindset. And mindset is very, very important. So it boils down to the intention, and it also starts in here. Like, how do you tell yourself? What do you say to yourself? And one of the important mindsets that I want to stress across here would be that if you are in a full-time job right now, despite what you hear from gurus and people out there who say that if you want to do your business, you got to quit your job, I'm going to tell you, don't. Don't be in a rush to quit your job. That's the very most important thing that you need to do as you're establishing yourself as an entrepreneur. And the reason is simple. In this world, we all have a responsibility, an amanah. And our amanah is for us to take care of the people or even the beautiful creatures in our lives. So if we have kids or fur kids to take care of, they need to be fed. They need to be taken care of. If you leave your job on a whim because you have this desire to create impact and change in the lives of others without a plan, it's not going to do them good. It's going to keep them hungry, and it's going to leave you always feeling worried about what's going to happen next. This is not the way for you to go. We want to set our mindset and our intention right when we start a business. So this way, the business is going to be filled with very good aura and positivity all throughout. It's not going to start because it's out of desperation, and it's also not going to start because you are doing it on a whim because you hate your boss. You hate the toxic working environment that you're in. You want to start it on a good note, right? So that's first M that you should be looking at, which is mindset. Now, the second M to look at would be mission. In this earth, like what I shared just now as well, we are put on earth for a reason. And we have to believe that. Have this faith that we are a creature on this earth, we are this creation, this really complete and perfect creation that Allah has created for us to serve a mission or a purpose on earth. So this mission needs to be discovered. It takes some time, but I have some strategies in place, which I will also share later on through a link. I have a challenge on how to activate your fearless potential. So here's where you can clearly define your mission. Whatever it is in your heart and in your soul that yearns to be heard or yearns to be, to go out there to do something good for the world, that is the mission that you want to see in your life. All right. So mission can always come hand in hand with the third M, which is money making machine. You can make money while you serve your mission. So if ever anyone tells you you're not running a charity, tell them I'm running a profit-driven business with a social mission. So you are a social entrepreneur. It's like a no-brainer, right? You can always do good. I mean, if you look at examples in the world, look at Tom's shoes. Like, it's just a very basic example, shoes. So for every shoe that is sold into the market, profit-driven, another pair of shoe will be given over to children from low income economies. That's a good mission, a very strong mission. So we can find our mission and still make money at the same time. So it's about here at this third M, where we want to make money, we have to do it in the halal way as much as we can. So we want to try to avoid as much as we can from things that are not in line with our values. Since we are Muslims, we do that. We try our very best. We do what we can in an environment of what we can. So I'm living in Asia, in Southeast Asia. That's predominantly Muslims. That's still quite okay. People are quite accepting of Muslims. But I know in other parts of the world where you are in as well, Fatima, it is not an easy journey. So you go with what works, right? What works. And Islam is easy. Islam is very easy. Humans make it complicated. So we don't want to overcomplicate things. We do what we need in order for us to survive. And that's where we make the money in our business, right? And then we go with the fourth M, which is message. So you heard my story, how messy that story was. If I go into even more detail of the story, you will know how incredibly messy it was. But your mess is your message. It is through the mess that the perfection of the message is going to shine through. It's really, really like I would say it's like a, how do you say it? Like a master in disguise. I don't know, like a blessing in disguise. That's right. So the challenges that you go through will lead you to blessings at the end of the day. So these are all the amazing, amazing things that you want to share into the world. Bring that message across, because at the end of the day, people don't buy because your product is amazing. People buy because they can relate to your message. That's one of the most important things we need to remember. Once they can associate with you, they can associate with the challenges, the stories, the message that you go through, that's when they will start to trust you. And you need that trust in order for you to do the good work that you are doing in this world and in your business, right? So the message, be clear. Remember that your mess is your message, right? And then we go on to number 5, the 5th M, which is market to the masses. All right, so marketing is very, very important. If you think marketing isn't, and you just don't like to think about marketing, you can't run away from it. You need to market. Whether it's word of mouth marketing or digital marketing, you still need to market in one way or another. So market anyway. Tell people that your business exists. That's your responsibility as a business owner. The bare minimum that you need to do is to let the world know that your business exists. Let the world know your message exists and the mission that you have. Let them know that. That's your number one priority and responsibility in running a business. So market anyway. And then finally, the 6th M is for you to marvel their minds. Now that you've already gained the confidence, now that you've already started this journey, you want to let them know that you are here for them, that you are here as that solution that they have been looking out for. Tell them, let them know, and welcome them with open arms. And that's how you're going to be able to launch a profitable business online. So those are my 6 steps, Fatima.
I love it. Thank you for sharing. So just to recap, okay, 6 M's for you to use as a big strategy, I think, or like as a process to follow up that have seen, that worked for women entrepreneurs and for your own, journey. Mindset, mission, money-making machine. Yes, you got to make money. I mean, when you create a business, is to make money first for you, like to have your expenses or, like filled out, to live out of it, to enjoy the fruit of your labor. Okay. You're not
That's
here
right.
only to work as a slave, just to eat. Okay. I think that's something super important. The message 100%, like share your story. We're talking about, being authentic, at some point, about sharing the good and the bad. And I think, people connect with people. They do not connect with products. Okay. They connect with people. And with this D&H, online, when they see you, they want to connect with you. Like, who are you? What's your story? Why should I connect with you, or spend my time with you, and spend money on your products? So super important. And don't be afraid of sharing your story, because a lot of people are like, oh, what people will think, I just want to be the pretty person and the perfect person. No, share everything. Marketing 100%. I mean, you're doing a business, okay, and you got to market yourself. You got to stand out in the crowd, whereas more than 7 billion people, you got to learn about marketing strategies. They work. And marvel their minds. I love it. Something came up when you said that. For me, it was more about, just improving. So once you have your customers, like, how can you always improve your service? Like, how can you give more value all the time? So like, this is the first thing that came up in mind, when I heard, number 6. So amazing. We have it, guys. This is a process, and please take it, experiment with it. Again, don't just listen to us. I'll definitely, keep that in mind. 6 M's, and it's great to remember, it's really easy to remember.
Yes. So if you want to learn a little bit more about this, you can go on over to my website, courses.fempreneurssecrets.com/ebook. That's where you're going to get the more in-depth description of what these 6 steps are. And on top of that, if you like the challenge, I also have a challenge to identify and activate your fearless business potential. So this is where you can discover your mission. So for that one, you can go on over to courses.fempreneurssecrets.com/challenge. That's where you can enjoy 5 days challenge of where we are going to discover and uncover what's deep inside. It's always been there. It's just a matter of unleashing it and activating it for your fullest potential. Yes.
The more I discover the power of intuition and just, listening. You don't need, a new course. You don't need, a new coach. You don't need all of that. Like, you already have so much within. Like, trust yourself. And everything else is a guidance, to get you there maybe faster. And so, yeah, I love it. We're going to share all the links for that. Thank you for sharing the ebook 100%. Please, I'm going to give you just, 2-3 minutes to talk about Fempreneur Secrets, what you're doing. And then I think it's going to be good for this episode, but we got to come back.
Sure. All right. So, Fempreneur Secrets is an online community that empowers women to start and build profitable and purpose-driven businesses online. So we have a 5-help-1 model. So for every woman who invests in their own learning, we set aside 20% of the proceeds that goes to supporting women from low-income families to build their first business as well. To date, we are still in the process of finding more women to help, but we have helped over 400 students in the world of digital marketing, in the world of setting up their business, and giving them and equipping them with the skills that is needed to just get started. That is the most important thing that you need when you want to be a business owner. Yeah. So that's what Fempreneur Secrets does. So if you want to learn more about what we do, you can go on over to fempreneursecrets.com. That's where a lot of the things are. And you can find me on Instagram, where I'm very active on as well. So that's at Fempreneur Secrets. That's where you can find us on Instagram.
Cool. You heard it, Huda. It was such a pleasure to talk to you, and you really, shared with us, the mindset of a women entrepreneur, what it takes to be, a women entrepreneur and be thriving in what you do, right? And yes. Also the lesson learned that you shared through your process, 100%. That is, again, actionable. That's the most important thing, like real action from people that tested it on the fields for you to take an experiment. And again, I always push people to take action. No, don't listen. You can watch all the videos, listen all the podcasts in the world, but nothing happens if you don't take action. So please, you have enough support. And I love that we are coming together. I think for Muslim women, we were lacking that, having someone that we look up to that is in the same situation than us. And most of the time, people in business are not, like that. So I'm so glad that we are coming in stronger and stronger. So thank you so much for what you do. And so to the next episode, I would love to have you back for sure, inshallah, as soon as possible.
Thank you so much, Fatima. It was such a joy and pleasure to be sharing this with your community. And I hope that the listeners who are listening in will take away those wisdom that I've shared, because it is honestly meant for you. So inshallah, we'll see you again soon.
Inshallah. Thank you so much.
Thank you.